Do you need to know the how and manifesting? Of course, I get it from every other guru in the world. You have heard a bajillion times, you don't need to know the how to manifest. You don't need to know the how to manifest. I am calling BS. I am busting the myth that you don't need the how. And while this is going to be an unpopular opinion, it's actually not an opinion. I teach this, and I have helped people go from 0 to 456K in 1 year in their business and manifest going from single to married and just everything you can imagine. But here is the thing that gets me is people get so caught up on you don't need to know the how to manifest, and literally that's not true. And let me explain why. Because your brain, you have like this smart brain that understands certain things need to happen. Certain things need to be possibilities. Certain things need to be understood. And your brain likes to understand things. Your brain likes to make sense of things. So if you're not manifesting, and if you're having a hard time manifesting something in particular, and you're like, I don't need to know the how. I don't need to know the how. I'm going to say, you might want to rethink that. You might want to recheck that. You might want to back up and really dive into if you actually don't need to know the how, or if somebody else told you you didn't need to know the how. And here's where it's interesting. Just because you didn't need to know the how on one thing doesn't mean that you don't need to know the how on another thing. So I absolutely disagree with the current theory that you don't need to know the how to manifest. And I know this because I teach manifesting, and I have been manifesting since before The Secret came out. I have been teaching manifesting for many years now, and I've worked with over 3,100, or is it 3,400? I've worked with over 3,000 clients and students on this very thing. So let me explain how this works, because no one has explained it to you before. You are smart. Your brain is smart. The minute something doesn't make sense to your brain, it's going to kick it out. Your subconscious is not going to let it operate in your system. You're going to get into what I call the spin cycle, and that's just basically self-sabotage. And if something isn't making sense to your brain, it's not going to accept it, it's not going to act on it, and it's not going to let you get results because it doesn't make sense. It's unknown. And your brain's job, your ego's job, is designed to keep you in safe and familiar. And if you don't know how something is going to work, that is a very uncertain thing. Humans crave certainty. Think about it. More than anything, the one thing you want to know is this going to work? Is this the way forward? Is this where I'm going? Is this my purpose? Is this really my thing? Like, we like certainty every step of the way. We don't, accept a date from a guy and just be like, okay, we're going on a date, and not ask where we're going and what we're doing. Because there's a difference if we're going to go to the Grand Canyon or we're going to go to New York for dinner. Complete difference. There's got to be certainty, right? We like the certainty of knowing what to expect. So when you don't know the how, when you have no idea, when you haven't considered the how, first off, your brain kicks it out because it doesn't like uncertainty. Second off, if you don't know the how, you're missing a lot of possibilities of how this could happen. And you're actually blocking and limiting yourself in this because there's a limitation if you don't know the how. Knowing the how creates a space where you feel comfortable moving forward, taking action. It creates an environment that your brain says, okay, fine, we can get down with this. We can do this. We're on board. And that alone is going to stop you from moving into like the spin cycle of sabotage, or it's going to keep you taking forward momentum into what you want to manifest. And there's a piece of mindset to this too, right? Because you're smart, you know that the how is going to be part of it. And this is where you argue with your teacher or the guru who's like, you don't need the how, because it just doesn't make sense to you. So when my students and clients are working with me, I always explain to them that they need to know the how. Now, you need to know the how because it needs to make sense. It needs to be a possibility. Once you step into the space that you allow yourself to explore the how, then you've unlocked a whole expansive vast energy of power, because you're like, okay, I get it. I get the how now. I understand. Whereas if you don't know how it can come in, like you want to make $1 million, how can it come in? You want to sign a 50K client. How can that happen? Don't worry about the how. It makes no sense. You need to understand it, because your brain won't let you take action on what you don't understand, right? So when you unlock the how, when you say, okay, well, obviously I'll just create an offer that's 50K and the client will come in, or I will just create a service that's worth $1 million and I will make $1 million, right? So those are one way to do it. Now, that's actually not the full teaching that I teach here, but that alone gives your brain something to make sense on. And it might be like, okay, well, I don't really want to create a product that I have to sell to make $1 million. Or maybe I don't want to create an offer that I have to make 50K off of one person, right? So you're going to immediately get feedback, which is playing in the energy, which is giving you like the next steps, the inspiration. It's actually going to create momentum in your manifestation when you know the how. And you need to know the how. The how is a vital part of manifestation, right? The how opens all possibilities. I will give you the exact exercise that I have my students and clients do when they are understanding their personal manifesting formula. Your personal manifesting formula is the exact way you manifest, not a manifesting method someone else taught you. This is your way of manifesting, and I teach this, and my students have gotten incredible results, and they all have found their own personal manifesting formula through it. So this part of it is, this part of it is very easy, right? So when somebody comes to me and they're like, I want to manifest something, I'm like, how's that going to happen? They're like, I have no idea. I can't do anything. I can't figure this out. It's not going to happen. I was like, I hear all the time, I don't need to know the how. You do need to know the how. Go away and make a list of 50 ways this could happen. And invariably, they always say to me, I can only get to 10. Like, I can't even figure out how this happens, how this works. You have got to sit with this and do the work and get beyond the surface things that you think are obvious. If you want to manifest, you have to really dig in and commit to doing the work. I've had clients who come back and they're like at 43, and I'm like, go back, and when you get 50, it's going to change everything for you. And this doesn't necessarily happen in one day, and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. I've had clients work at this for a week sometimes 2 weeks, right? Just because of their schedules and what was going on. But when you make a list of 50 different ways that this manifestation can come in, it changes everything. And it doesn't mean that that's how it has to come in, but your brain has to see the opportunity, the possibility, the potentiality of all the ways this could come in. And look, let me just tell you this. Let me give you this insight. It doesn't have to be logical. It just has to be possible. So some of the things I tell my students to do are so like, okay, so maybe somebody just comes to you and offers to give you $50,000. Maybe your neighbor dies and they leave their entire estate to you and it's worth $50,000. Maybe you get in a car accident and it was just a fender bender, but you're awarded $50,000, right? It doesn't have to make sense. Maybe your mom, who obviously like you think is completely broke, comes into money in some way and hands you $50,000. You see, it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't even have to be realistic. It just has to be a possibility. And when you start diving into all of the endless and infinite possibilities there are for you to actually receive, to have, to create, to get your desire into your reality, then like it changes everything, because all of a sudden you become more expansive. You become more open. You become more available. You become more like, oh, I can see this now. There's so many ways this can happen. So many ways. Like maybe you just enter a drawing for $50,000. You didn't even know there was going to be one day when you're at Subway. Who knows? I don't know. But I do know that my clients who have done this get incredible, extraordinary results, and it helps them to manifest. And it opens their imagination, because manifestation starts in your imagination. Manifestation starts in your mind, and the possibility and potentiality and all of that is contained in your imagination. So opening your imagination is opening your mind, which is the mindset that you need to be able to manifest effectively. And so I think it's a big myth that people think you don't need the how to manifest, because you absolutely do need the how to manifest. I'm Sherry Hemstreet of thesherryhemstreet.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know what you are going to do when you are manifesting the how. Let me know if you're going to do this. If you want more, reach out to me or visit my website.